Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ZRL's Division 1 action here on Sunday night. As always, I'm your host, Buffalo Trace, and we're coming to you live from Yas Marina as Season 6 rolls on. Race number 2 is the finale for the real guys here yesterday, this morning, wherever. Race 2 here for ZRL Division 1. It's a fresh layout here in F122. Bit more overtaking with the new refined Turn 5, 2 DRS zones, and the revisions on Sector 1 and 2 have really been lending themselves to some incredibly close racing. I'm joined, as always, by the legendary John Ranger. John, a win last week for Ferrari of Jeffrey Lawler, with last season champ Hudson Poole finishing right behind him in P2. What are you looking for kind of going into race 2, man?
Definitely looking at those two. Hudson Poole's the kind of driver who's, we'll say it honestly, struggled a little bit on practice sessions and on this track with the setup. And he's really wanting to go out there and get some wins starting for Red Bull, especially in Division 1. So we'll be looking at that. Jeffrey Lawler's always got amazing pace as always, so curious to see how the Ferraris are going to do. Kudos to Maxime Beaulieu, who had the P3 in the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin boys with Aaron Altmaier also doing pretty decent. They had a lot of points for their constructors as well. And AJ Jackson, who had a nice comeback. And, you know, what's really surprising, and, moving from the driver standings real quick to the team constructors here, it's those last place teams who so far in round one got a lot more points than we were expecting.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
specifically talking about Williams and Alfa Romeo, who both under just 2 points behind Red Bull are sitting there at 36 points. And so really, are they going to be able to continue this? They got their stride going. This is something that maybe their team principals were maybe expecting as many points, obviously, but maybe it's something they could carry on into the Yas Marina circuit. We'll see. This is a challenging circuit as well,
It is.
and we'll definitely gonna have a good race tonight.
Yeah, I'm checking out the driver standings there, and you're right. Now, we had the sprint race last week, too, right? So we see Jeffrey Lawler leading the championship. He got 8 points in the sprint, I think 10 in the race. So he's currently got a lead over Hudson Poole of 8 points. And then, yeah, you're right. I think in the combined constructors there, the big outlier right now, I think, is Williams in P4. And AJ Jackson had a huge performance for them last week. So we'll see if that can continue as we see some drivers here start to head out on their first out laps. I believe Jeffrey Lawler may be the first one out. So we will start to hop on with everybody here.
Yeah, already a move, maybe an interesting move already from Major Castleman and the Haas is going out on the medium tires. I'm wondering if it's just, it's obviously not gonna have as much pace on the mediums compared to the softs. I'm thinking it's just him wanting to get out there, put a lap, get his feelings for his setup in his car, and then he'll just go right out with the three extra laps there with on the soft tires.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like, how so as you see the esports guys go out on like inters to start one of their sections when they do full quali. I think this is similar because at Abu Dhabi track, you can, with the way the new tire allocations are, you get 3 sets of softs for short quali and then 1 set of mediums. So in Abu Dhabi, you can do 4 runs. So I guess he's doing the mediums first with the track not evolved. And we'll go out here for his first lap here. But, I think that's kind of what he's trying to do.
Yeah, most definitely, and the thing we'll have to discuss later on is race strategy as well, because we've seen in my Division 3 race, a driver going on the 2 pit stop strategies, going medium soft softs, and that actually worked out rather well for that driver, who had a really strong pace throughout the race. So maybe we'll see something similar in D1.
Yeah, this is the new hairpin, right? Turn 5. So they got rid of that awful chicane. I did not like that one at the end of Sector 1 in the last layout. So they got rid of this one. Right, this is the first main DRS zone. Jeffrey Lawler coming up to turn 6 here. This is a tough uphill chicane, really hard braking zone. Got to cut that curb a little bit, but make that turn a little bit wide because your exit coming out of turn 7 is going to be essential as you go into the straight, coming into another new hairpin in turn 8. So we've seen it in the previous 3 divisions already, John, but like you can, there's a lot of good overtaking that can happen both here on this little hairpin here. And then, of course, going into turn 5, a lot of good racing.
Yeah, and there's we've seen a couple drivers go in for moves, diving down on the inside of turn 12 as well. There's the potential opportunity there, although it's a high risk, high reward kind of situation. And the drivers spend most of the week figuring out where they're gonna be driving with a low downforce setup to be able to have the best kind of the top end speed through the first straight lines, or they're gonna go for a higher downforce setup and have the best timings in the sector 3, as Jeffrey Lawler puts us 123.4, so that's already a great time already for D1. So a
Yeah,
lot of drivers gonna be looking at him.
exactly. Yeah, Jeffrey Lawler, 124. Major Castleman actually spun out on medium, so he won't get that first lap in. Marc-Olivier Bastien with a 123.7, so that's a good showing so far for the Alfa Romeo, as everybody is essentially getting out on their heaters now. Eric Perez comes in with a 124.3. He'll probably look to improve upon that as Eruption takes provisional pole. The D2 Ferrari driver filling in for Peter Giordano with a 123.2. Really nice.
123.2, and that's 2/10 above Jeffrey Lawler. AJ Jackson also in the Williams putting himself P2, just a couple hundredths above Jeffrey there. So that's great timing there for those drivers. So I wouldn't be surprised with the track evolution going on there. We're gonna probably hit the sub 122s.
Yeah, I think we could. I think we could see sub 122s today for sure. Freddie Rizal puts himself into P4 with a 123.4. That's an outstanding lap from Freddie there. Let's hop in with his Haas teammate, Major Castleman. Oh, he had went out on the mediums, so he'll probably look to come in this lap. There's an AlphaTauri behind him. Oh, that's Chase Wilson, who's out in Sector 1, but he already set his first lap. So let's hop in with Cal real quick as he comes around for his first heater. Here's turn 16, cutting that curb, but you can take it wide to carry as much speed as you can across the line. And P6 with a 123.5. Cal continues to impress after jumping 2 divisions in between seasons. And P6 here in Division 1, he looks great.
Yeah, puts his AlphaTauri right in front of renowned drivers like Jason Pelter there, and he's got to be proud with that. He's dropped down to P7 though, as Hudson Pools just put himself in P2 so far with a 123.3, just a 10th behind Eruption.
Yeah, a couple drivers waiting a little bit to set their first runs. I think we got, let's see, Major Castleman, of course, went on the medium tires. Joaquin Torres coming out now. Colin Edwards still in pit lane. Probably trying to determine, and we'll see the track quiet down a little bit as Maxime Beaulieu. I guess that was going to be his first heater, but he invalidated. So he comes in at a minute 30, and he may look to go out again. I don't see his fuel light on, so perhaps Maxime is going out for another round.
I also would like to point real quick. Well, first of all, we're driving right now with. I was about to say we started with 19 drivers, but combined YouTuber looks like he's hopped in there replacing for another driver in the Alfa Romeo, so he'll be out there. And Duncan McCamick in the Red Bull is serving currently a qualifying ban, so he will be starting the race from P20. So that's gonna be pretty interesting start of the race, because if Hudson Pool finds himself sandwiched between those Ferraris or behind both Ferraris, they could really use that teamwork to fend off Hudson. And Duncan McCamick, meanwhile, he's going to be in the back of the pack.
Yeah, he is. So Hudson really won't have that team support. Luke Locklear coming in. Looks like he had a spin. That would be combined YouTuber coming in for his first heater. Let's see. Sector 3 hasn't really changed at all. It's a little bit tricky. Twisty and Tierney. Got to use that good downforce here. Be careful of the curbs, because some of them are friendly and some of them are not. Combined YouTuber coming around, reserving today for Alfa Romeo, and he bails on the lap with a 124.77. That was kind of interesting. It looks like he, I don't know, tapped on the brakes or just let off on the throttle, but he probably lost a good amount of time there. He'll slot in at the back of the pack. Yeah. That was interesting.
We're still waiting for 3 drivers so far to put in their times. Major Castleman, Joaquin Torres, and Klinsmann in the Mercedes, who's also replacing 4. I've got a... Oh, he's replacing for Luca, right. So, yeah, so these 3 drivers don't have any times yet, so they'll probably need to get a move on.
Yeah, they probably will. Yeah, Joaquin Torres, I guess he bailed too on his... right after his outlap, so he'll go in. He has yet to set a time. Marc-Olivier Bastien is setting in for his second heater. He's currently sitting at a 123.7. Good enough for P12 right now. Comes around sector 1. Setup is crucial to turns 2, 3, and 4, right? You really want to kind of have your foot glued to the throttle there, but you got to make it stick. You have to have enough rear end, otherwise the car's going to spin out. I know in earlier divisions we saw a lot of high-speed spins in sector 1 as people
Yeah.
trying to plant their foot and the car not quite agreeing with them.
Yeah, especially as the tires start getting worn out more and more, that whole sector could be a little bit tricky.
Eruption currently up by 0.03 over P2 and Maxime Beaulieu.
Not a lot of difference between those two drivers' times, and we know track evolution is gonna play a part in its game currently. So we're gonna, nothing's played out yet. Things could happen still, and a 123.2 is a very respectable time, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Eruption, maybe drop it down a tenth or two.
He could, yeah, he could certainly improve. Marc-Olivier Bastien coming in for his second heater, comes across turn 16. There's a yellow in sector 1, sector 2. And Marc-Olivier Bastien improves by 0.4 up to P4 with a 123.3. There's some track evolution for you. Jeffrey Lawler had invalidated, but he looks like he might be warming up the tires, still going around for another heater. His fuel light's on, might be tight. He's going to go around again and try to make it happen.
You're keeping an eye on Eruption, who's currently sitting in P1. He's going down the main straight between turn 5 and 6. So he's on a heater currently.
Eruption looking to improve upon his pole time, provisional pole time rather, of a 123.218, 300ths ahead of the Aston Martin of Maxime Beaulieu, about a tenth ahead of Hudson Poole, previous champion. There's a brief localized yellow in sector 3 as looks like people trying to get out of the way of Eruption. Coming into sector 3 here, get on the throttle early here, take this nice and wide, careful with this curve, sometimes you can take it, sometimes you can't. AJ Jackson comes in with a 123.0 to retake provisional pole right after Cal put a 123.1, but Eruption takes it right back by 300ths again with a 123.0. So D2 reserve driver Eruption.
Well, Hudson's coming in right now.
And Hudson
he gets a 122.
Wow. Not only that, and Aaron Altmaier takes P2 from Eruption. So in a few seconds, he's gone from provisional pole again, back down to P3. Hudson Poole, last season's champion, the first one of the 122s, and the 122.9. That was a blistering lap.
Absolutely wonderful. Oh, Division 1 never ceases to impress, and we still have 5 minutes, to go to qualifying, and some guys are still running their laps. We know they're all going to go for another run, and Hudson's the first driver to go into the sub-123s. Look at the time between, and it's really not a lot. From P1 to P5, there's just about 2/10, I'll say maybe even 3/10 max. And that's definitely some stuff that, time that these guys could improve on.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. That's just great.
Trying to hop around here. Joaquin Torres had yet to set a fastest lap. He comes in with a 124.4. So he's in P17. So I know he's going to look to improve upon that, but he got a time on the board, which is first priority here. So 5 minutes left in the session. He'll have time to circle around, put on a fresh set of softs, and come out for what will hopefully be an improved hot lap. Who's on track now in a heater? Jason Pelter coming through sector 3. He's a 10th up on his time, currently P12 with a 123.6. Jason Pelter, a good qualifier, but a great racer. He got P3 in last season's standings, not by qualifying, but finishing consistently with top-tier points finishes. He comes around turn 16, getting his second heater. He'll improve by 0.286 seconds, so just under 3/10. He's sitting in P8. Luke Locklear coming into the pits. John, I feel like Luke has got a little bit more time in there. He's bailed on a couple laps, and I think he could be poised to improve from his P9 for sure.
Absolutely. If there's a driver that could really improve on his time and do something out there, is him, and he's really hoping probably his teammate Klinsman, who's the only driver on track who has not posted a time yet, that he could maybe put himself up there. And one thing, during qualifying, if some of these drivers went for lower downforce setup, I do know that it's difficult to qualify, and you lose a lot of time in sector 3 with the lower downforce setup.
Right.
So maybe if Lucas is using that kind of setup, if he could keep himself in top 10, that's something he'll definitely be happy about, because you could get a strong start from there, and uh, the top speed makes you really difficult to pass, especially when DRS is in play on those straight lines. So we'll see what he's able to do.
Yeah, he's certainly shown his ability to come back and make positions back on track during the race. So one car out, it's combined YouTuber. So he's the first car out on his last run. He's on an outlap right now. Got him coming down that front straight. And there's always that weird curve, right? Coming back to Abu Dhabi after a while, John, like on that front straight, you lose a lane, right? So you're hugging the right side of it, trying to minimize track distance, and then it curves inward, right? You lose like a
Yeah.
one car's width of lane on the track.
Yeah, I gotta be careful on that sector, that's for sure.
Carl Barron's out in the Ferrari as well. He's currently sitting P13 with a 123.3. Trying to remember the showing that McLaren had. Let's take a look at the constructor standings here. Yeah, so they finished with 13 points for the weekend in D1. So they're going to look to probably have something a little bit better. We know Carl has the pace. I feel like he may have gotten caught up in some incidents that were probably not his fault going in. Nonetheless, Sid and the team will look to improve here. Let's hop in with combined YouTuber here, who is in Sector 1, trying to navigate traffic, trying to improve upon his lap. We'll ride along as he comes into the brand new Turn 5. Hard braking zone here. Kissing that curb, maximizing exit speed, going along this first DRS zone. DRS on, rear wing open. Coming into probably the trickiest sequence of corners on the track here in Sector 2. This uphill quick chicane. He cuts it really nicely, takes it wide, maximizing exit speed on turn 7. From the booth, they all look good, right? But the difference in these times is just so incredibly minute. Every little detail matters when you're racing at that type of skill level. Localized yellow in Sector 3. We got a bunch of drivers starting to bunch up, which we see in Abu Dhabi frequently. We'll switch to broadcast mode here through the twists and the turns in Sector 3. Combined YouTuber will be the first car to put in his final time for the qualifying session. He's coming around and he spins off. Oh, he lost it, John.
That's going to be unfortunate.
Yeah, he'll be kicking himself for that. He'll have to rely on strategy. I don't know if he's fueled up to maybe go on another run, but that might be it. So behind him, let's see. Hudson Poole is warming up for his lap right now. I think we were on with Carl Behrens. Let's ride in with the McLaren driver who will look to improve. He's coming into turn 8, the new and improved hairpin in Sector 2. So he looks to improve upon his time. This is a tricky, hard braking zone too, with a little bit of steering angle. You got to be really careful not to spin now. And the localized yellow in Sector 1. Looks like the Ferrari is getting out of the Alfa Romeo's way, but Carl Behrens has invalidated. Oh, and he spins out. He invalidates and spins out to boot. So Carl Behrens will not improve upon his time. Let's hop in with who I think is maybe AJ Jackson there. Who's in Sector 3 looking to make something happen? Might be
Great
Eric
showing
Perez.
from Aaron Altmaier right now, 122.9. He by 2 thousandths got ahead of Hudson Poole.
Wow, good looks there. Yeah, Aaron before spinning out in Sector 1, but hey, he got the lap in. AJ Jackson will finish the session with a 123.0. Eric Perez is done. Carl Behrens is done. Trying to see who is coming across the line now. Let's look at Chase. Chase Wilson is done. He's pulling into the pits to bail on his lap. Marc-Olivier Bastien setting a heater now. Nice and tidy through turn 60, but he spins. Oh! Broadcaster's curse. I just comment on the tidiness of it, and he spins out. That's my fault.
A lot of spinning out there, and Eruption looks like he went into the pits, I believe, so was not improving on his time.
Eruptions on the pits. We'll ride in with Guac now. Joaquin Torres in the McLaren. He's looking to improve. I know he's got more pace than this. He actually keeps it nice and tidy. Through turn 16. His localized yellow, he doesn't have to worry. He improves by 5/10, but it's still only good enough for P18. So disappointing for the McLaren so far. Hudson Pool in. That's his in lap. Who's the Haas behind him?
The Haas of Freddie Rizal. He's in P5, right in front of Kyle Blevins. Wow.
Combined YouTuber improves by almost 4/10. He's in P11. Great qualifying for Haas as they sign up for a P5 and a P11. And I don't think anyone on track can beat him. That's going to be it, John. Wow. That's a really nice performance. Nice job.
Yeah, I think the Haas driver is going to be really impressed with that one. Again, I know Freddie really put on a lot of time and practice on this track, and he's really one of the drivers who's been improving the most lately, and he's really showing his worth here.
Yeah, he really is. So Aaron Altmaier takes pole here in Abu Dhabi by 0.02 of a second over Hudson Pool in P2. Eruption, the D2 reserve extraordinaire, filling in quite nicely for team principal Peter Giordano with a nice P3. AJ Jackson with a P4 in the Williams. So again, Williams with a really nice pit. AJ Jackson was picked 10th in the draft, but he has shown incredible pace. Freddie Rizal rounds out the top 5. Following that, we have Cal, Maxime, Luke Locklear, Jason Pelter, and the Alfa Romeo of Marc-Olivier Bastien. Great qualifying showing. This is a tough track. It's tough to push consistently. It's tough to link everything together and really get it right. And we saw some guys come close. I'm kind of curious how close Marc-Olivier was to improving on his lap. You know, how many tenths did he have in the bag?
Yeah.
Right? And look at Jeffrey Lawler in P12. We're kind of surprised to see him there. He may have had an incident or something we didn't see on his last lap. So some shaking up at the top.
See. I got a quick question for you, Buffalo.
Yeah, shoot.
Do you think if I crack one open real quick during the stream, I'm going to get fired?
Yes, I do. But do it anyway because it'll be fun. We'll do it for the clicks.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great race.
We'll go out with a bang.
Absolutely.
Great race. Sunday fun day. Let's do it.
Quick reminder as the drivers are setting up here, there will be no formation laps, so we'll be having a quick sprint down into turn 1, and that's going to be really important to these drivers to really keep it clean. And usually we have incidents in turn 1s to 3 actually. Drivers will be looking to push. You get plenty of opportunity for drivers who are off the racing line that are going slow, then maybe to overtake some of them. But you got to be careful and really have your foot ready on the brakes because anything could happen in front, and it could be chaos very quickly.
Yeah, it could be a lot of chaos up front. No formation lap. They're going in cold. A couple of the main strategies here have been medium hard to hard medium. We are on right now. Let's hop in with Freddie Rizal at the start if we can. Hudson Pool gets a great start. We're trying to get the spectating right here. We're on with Aaron Altmaier here. Broadcast view. Freddie Rizal in the Haas. Jumps up one place to P4. That was AJ Jackson's spot. They're coming around sector 1. There's a localized yellow. Looks like Jeffrey Lawler and Eric Perez may have got tangled up a little bit. Jeffrey Lawler is stuck there at turn 1. The Haas takes the inside from AJ Jackson, and he will keep that position. So Hudson Pool takes the lead from the start. Aaron Altmaier, Eruption keeps P3. Freddie Rizal up 1. AJ Jackson up 1 as well.
Great launch from Hudson Pool, right away getting P1, and he's going to be lucky to hopefully gain that 1 second advantage to have Aaron Altmaier away from the DRS zone.
We're on with Jason
Duncan
Pelter.
McCamick is also up with 5 positions.
Duncan McCamick up 5 positions already from P20, so he started really clean. We're up with Jason Pelter, who's got a front row seat. He had a lot of action going in turn 6s and 7. He's going to try to make a move on Cal on the outside. And, oh, there's a ghosted Williams there. That might be AJ Jackson. That could be why he's losing positions. And something may have happened there. I don't know if he's ghosted or no, but people just go right through him. A lot of shuffling here up the order. Yeah, AJ Jackson now down 9 spots. I believe that game must have crashed or something. He's just rejoined the lobby. He'll be coming in soon. Duncan McCamick now up 7 spots to P13. And as we come around for the first lap, Hudson Poole in the lead with a 130.5. Big winners here so far. Luke Locklear up 3 spots. Cam Bourne up 5. Carl Barron's up 3. Duncan McCamick, the biggest winner of them all, right now up 7 spots. AJ Jackson, tough one so far, down 11, probably due to the game crash. We'll hop on with Freddie here as he goes to the main straight. We'll get in broadcast view. So Jeffrey Lawler, a big loser as well, was looking to recover after starting in P12, but must have gotten caught up with something at the start.
Yeah, unfortunately, AJ Jackson's dropping back on the grid, and we talked about that kind of driver, this driver last weekend in Brazil, right, where he started off the race really, really well and dropped back down, and eventually clawed his way back up into a P4 position, if I remember correctly. He's gonna have to do it once again. He was up there with the drivers, and he got a little bit pinched by Hudson Poole right in the beginning and lost enormous amounts of time, and he's tumbled down ever since. He's lost 10 positions.
Cal and Jason Pelter going at it here in the beginning. Let's look at the tires. Looks like so far, tentatively, everybody is on a hard to medium strategy, save for Joaquin Torres, who has had to pit and switched off his mediums now for fresh hard. So, effectively, he's on that strategy now, too. AJ Jackson, the only one starting on medium to hard. So, that incident, John, was super unfortunate for him because that's when he needed to make up the most spots at the start.
Yeah, he's going backwards on the strategy on top of that, and his team principal is probably telling him to push and try to overtake Duncan as he's really going about it right there. Duncan's gonna try to get the inside there on turn 4. We'll see if he can make it stick. Looks like AJ Jackson's got the better grip there, and he's got to take advantage of those medium tires. He's the only medium tire runner so far, and I'm sure his team principal told him, so he's got to be pushing.
He's got the DRS, but he has drained his battery. We're on him. He's only got 12% left, so you can feel what a terrible time for a disconnect. Let's hop in with a battle here going on for 7, 8, and 9. We're on with Marc-Olivier Bastien in P9. A tenth of a gap to P9. Jason Pelter with a tenth of a gap. Marc-Olivier Bastien's going to come around the inside on the hairpin. Oh, there's contact! Oh. He came in there at really high speed, banged into Jason Pelter. Looks like Jason may have been okay. Marc-Olivier Bastien got the worst of it for sure. Cal and Jason away, and he'll rejoin in P15. He was coming in hot right there.
Yeah, very hot and going with far too much speed. And that corner is a bit of a treacherous corner, right? Turn 9, because you kind of thinking you could get the inside on that corner, but the driver on the outside tends to have a higher pace as well. And with the angle of the track, then depending on the setup, you could either spin out or go too far wide and hit your opponent, and that's kind of something that happened with Marc-Olivier Bastien there. So he's gonna have to keep pushing. Luckily, I don't think I see much damage on his front wing, so he got out of there without too many problems.
Yeah, we're on Major Castleman now, trying to close the gap now to what was P9 as now P8 after the fallback. Didn't look like the Alfa Romeo had any wing damage, so he'll look to just kind of regroup and make up some spaces. While we were chatting and that was going on, AJ Jackson has made the pass on Cam Bourne. He finds himself on the front stretch again, really coming up close to Carl Barons now. We'll try to outbreak him a little bit. He took that really nicely. Turn 6, but a little bit of a poor exit in turn 7. Nevertheless, he gets the DRS in the McLaren, and now he's starting to claw away. Man, if he was at the front, he could be leading this race.
Yeah, most definitely. And so far, I think Alan Altmaier, pretty sure Joe Garanja, the team principal of Aston Martin, just told him just stay within DRS of Hudson. He's going to be able to drag you with him. And Hudson currently is really being very careful with his DRS deployment. So he's really going to be using that battery for the defensive purposes only.
Yeah.
Looks like he's got enough pace to keep up ahead of Aaron.
AJ Jackson making those medium tires work in Sector 3, an unconventional sector to pass here at Abu Dhabi, but he makes it work, and he's back up into the top 10. The battle for 7, 8, and 9, after a brief detour due to some contact, is back on. Cal 8/10 behind Maxime for P6, so they got a little DRS train going, but AJ's going to come and interrupt this gap very soon. And I'm sure that they'll want to try to get a move on. We'll try to conserve battery. You can regenerate ERS here at Abu Dhabi though, right? It's not as difficult as say Brazil was last week.
Yeah, most definitely. most definitely. These guys have the chance of really using their ERS, but the thing is, it's everybody using the ERS or everybody not using ERS. So th- it's gonna be a bit of a tricky one, and really, I think the setups is gonna make bigger of a difference than just the ERS deployment at this rate.
Yeah, let's hop in now. And I want to draw attention really to Joaquin Torres. Looks like he may have had another incident. He's actually pitted twice now. So he's back
Wow.
on, and presumably his first set of medium tires. He's pitted twice. It's going to be a really tough strategy for him. I think he needs an early safety car to hope to be back in this race. Let's hop in with Eruption now. It looks like he's closing the gap to Aaron Altmaier in P2. Freddie Rizal, though, key here, is out of DRS range of Eruption, which could open him up to Thermo/Luke Locklear here as they go in the front stretch. But let's hop on with Eruption because they're going to get through first. Trying to squeeze as much grip as you can out of that hard tires in that section. That section, more than all, you need all the rear tire grip you can. Into the new improved hairpin in turn 5, which this track is just so much nicer to drive now, John, with the new layout. It's so much better.
It's kept its technical aspect, especially in sector 3, but those long left-handers, turn 5 and turn 9, they're not as simple as they look. Honestly,
No.
It just looks like long left-handers and you get out there, but it's so important to get out of that, especially turn 5, getting out of there with the most speed as possible, because right after that you have the whole DRS stretch, and depending on who's behind you, in front of you, who's behind you, that corner means a lot. And we could tell there's a major difference in pace between medium tires and the hard tires. I don't think we'll be seeing drivers going with the 2 pit stop strategies, unless there's obviously some incidents as we've seen earlier on with Joaquin Torres there.
Huge difference in pace. We're on with sector 3 now, as in turn 9, Luke Locklear and Freddie Rizal toying with a little bit of a switchback. They have been going at it here in sector 3. So this is good news for Eruption as he tries to distance himself from the driver in P4. But Freddie and Luke are having a great battle here. And then in P6, Maxime Beaulieu watching the action. He'll look for that gap to shrink, and he's probably going to have a seat at the table after turn 5. But just like you were saying, man, turns 8 and 9, that's where the action happened.
Yeah, and Marc-Olivier Bastien looks like I don't know if he's disconnected. He's left the session. He's being ghost right now, so that's unfortunate for a driver who usually has a lot of fast pace. And it looks like Chase Wilson's going to be driving right through him.
Yeah, let's hop back on with Freddie now as he tries to get into turn 6 and 7. Huge battle here going in between Luke and Freddie Rizal. And he goes on the inside of turn 7. Did he get the DRS as well? Can he double dip on it? No, interesting to make the pass there, because now Luke has DRS. So I'm surprised that
emptied his DRS completely to fighting Freddie there. Freddie's being a bit more conservative, so this battle is going to be going on for a couple more laps.
Yeah, it is. That gap that Maxime has is still 4/10, but while that's going on, it looks like Cal, his gap has shrunk to 4/10 as well. Let's hop in with AJ Jackson, actually. They enter sector 3, and AJ, there's about a second, 1.6 seconds that he had to close up to Major Castleman, but he's since done that. 6-lap old medium tires, he's still got to try to milk them. There's still more life in them, and he's got to make some moves going in. A lot of battles going through, all up and down the field. Eruption on the tail of Aaron Altmaier doing his best to keep pace. Freddie Rizal on the heels of Luke Locklear. That's now a 2.2 second gap between P3 and P4. So the fighting already has started to separate the pack.
Yeah, speaking of P3, we'd probably be expecting the complete opposite situation between 2 Ferraris. It's Eruption that's sitting in a podium position. Eruption, who I will remind you guys, he's a reserve D2 driver. He's replacing Peter Giordano, the team principal, who's actually on place in the S Marino circuit this weekend to watch the race. And so now we see Jeffrey Lawler, who's lost 4 positions since the beginning of the race and is sitting in P16.
Oh,
Maybe
and a little bit of an incident. Sorry, I was riding with AJ Jackson, and he tried to go for a gap that didn't seem to be there on Major Castleman. So he's got to have damage there. Oh no, it looks from broadcast view that his wing is intact, but there was something there. He went for a gap that
Major Castleman has no wing.
Oh, so that crash, Major Castleman may have gotten a little bit decimated there. The short end of that, and it looks like there's a safety car because of debris. So here it is. So Joaquin Torres, big winner here. He needs to stay out for track position. Well, actually, I don't even know what you would do here. Right, John? Because maybe you can go in and get fresh tires and come to the back of the pack, right? Um, it's a full safety car.
Yep.
Major Castleman coming into the pits. He'll have to replace his wing. AJ Jackson coming into the pits as well. We're not sure if this is for strategy or for wing.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I think this plays a little bit in the hands of drivers who took the medium tires, which was only AJ Jackson. But with that incident he had with Major Castleman, didn't realize if his pit stop was... it looks like his pit stop's taking a while there.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know if it's graphically bugged or what. I didn't see.
Oh, yeah, it looked like it was a graphics bug because he's suddenly under the tunnel.
Okay, yeah,
It's
that
just
was
like
interesting.
it was sitting there. I thought he imposed himself a self penalty, but no, it looks just like a little bit of a bug there. So yeah, so lap 9 is too early to go from hards to mediums.
It
Those
certainly
hards
is.
could definitely go a little longer, but the undercut is also very powerful. So you can go to mediums. You have a safety car there. You know, we're thinking about almost the hard tires pitting anywhere between lap 15 to 17, depending on who triggers the undercut series first. And now everybody's going to be grouped up by the time we end up to be lap 15, given the safety car situation.
For sure.
So this is a head scratcher. Do you switch your strategy for softs until the end of the race? Do you just keep on going with your original strategy, which is going to the mediums?
Yeah, I think it depends on the track position. So you look at the guys that are in recovery right now. AJ, Major Castleman, Marc-Louis Bastien. I think they absolutely made the right call. I think Guac had to stay out. But everyone else, I mean, the only other option if you're a hard tire runner is to pit and try to go medium, or medium soft. But you're still doing another pit. And look, going through the history, we've had 3 races here in ZRL already. This is the 4th race of the weekend. And I know we've seen multiple safety cars. So it's not unrealistic to assume that there could be another incident here. So maybe that's what they're going for too, right? That could factor in.
That could factor in most definitely, although there was no safety car at all in Division 3 race, so it's a difficult one here, you know. Again, the safety car isn't triggered by a DNF, but just because of debris from the incident between AJ Jackson and Major Castleman. And you know, life is beautifully made, because look at Major Castleman, who's sitting right behind AJ Jackson. He's gonna be eager to get some revenge on him.
On
this
better
time
tires.
He's got the medium tires, exactly, and Jackson's got the hard tires. So I think the Haas drivers ready to get some revenge there.
Yeah, we're certainly going to see some action at the back of the pack.
Yeah, that's it. The whole pack is going to be... There's going to be a lot of action once that safety car goes in. And Joaquin Torres is just got out of the pits for what seems to be about the 47th time in 10 laps
Feels
so far.
like it. Okay, so here's this. He may... a little bit of desync maybe on Freddy's. I was running out with Freddy. It looks like he went into the ghosted back of Luke Locklear. Is Freddy Rizal in P11 now? I'm not sure. If we have some desync there. I see Freddy Rizal at P11 on my screen, John. What do you do? I see a Red Bull that just spun out. Was that Duncan McCamick?
That was Duncan.
On safety car, pulling a little Roman Grosjean. So
he's trying to get as much heat into those tires as possible, and it's probably not very easy currently.
Is Freddy P10 on your screen?
Yeah, Freddy is P10, so he's dropped back, and I'm not seeing what the reason was specifically. I think it's something I missed.
I was riding along with him, and it looks like he went into the back of Luke Locklear, but Luke was ghosted, so I'm not sure what sort of incident. He didn't go into the pits, so presumably no damage. So we'll ride on with Maxime here in the restart. As AJ Jackson leaves the session again, he'll probably rejoin. I think there's been connection issues. Oh, but we were talking about Joaquin Torres before the ghosting and desync. That may have been a good move, John, because on those hards, he only had a lap on those before he had to pit for damage. He might be able to go to the rest of the race.
Might, and from what I'm seeing, I have some information in the paddock, and I didn't notice or keep track of it, but it seems it might be his AI driving, and not Guac. I don't know if that was him, but
He doesn't look ghosted
doesn't
here
look like
on
the
my
AI though.
screen.
Yeah, so somebody in our information says saying he left, but it looks like he's still there, and he's in the back of the pack and back on them hards. Probably gonna try to go all the way with the hards.
So he's finally caught up to the back, a welcome sight after a couple incidents and early pit stops. Safety car presumably in this lap. Everyone trying to warm the tires, and it's hard too with the slowest sector being sector 3. It's really hard to keep heat in those tires. As maybe there was another incident. Cam Board.
Oh, that's
with
a lot of
little
positions
spin.
he lost. Yeah.
So he's in the back on 10-lap old tires. And inopportune timing because safety car in this lap. Let's hop in with Luke Locklear. Always good for some action on the restart. Hudson Poole leading the race. Aaron Altmaier looking to push. Eruption in P3. Outstanding performance today from the standout reserve. Getting really slow here.
I'm totally expecting Hudson to launch it right out the corner of turn 16 and down the main straight. He's going to wait for the safety car to go and go down a crawling speed, and drivers, everyone's just weaving back and forth on those hard tires. You know, these hard tires really get up to temp on those high-speed corners, and now you haven't been going high-speed in those corners, so I think it's a bit of a challenge for them to keep the temperature up on those tires.
I think it will be too, and just as you said, Hudson hits turn 16, and he's off. We're on with Luke Locklear now to see if he's close enough on the restart. Everybody burning ERS. Hudson Poole maintain a lead. Going into turn 1, Luke Locklear, some late braking there, but executed it very well. Coming into turn 2, high speed. Hudson Poole has already built up a 7/10 gap, so he must have caught Aaron Altmaier sleeping a little bit. They come into turn 10. Sorry, turn 5 rather. No DRS for a couple laps. But it looks like a pretty clean restart. Oh, look, Luke Locklear almost loosened on the exit at turn 5.
Yeah, he's pushing it. He wants to get himself in a podium position, and that's there's no DRS right now, so everybody's using their battery to keep within the second.
Everyone's using their battery. Speaking of those medium tire runners, Major Castleman and Marc-Olivier Bastien up a couple spots themselves. We just saw Chase Wilson lose his spot to the Ferrari of Jeffrey Lawler, who's finally back in P12. Safety car helps him out as well. Now he's pretty much on the same. He's right where he started the race. He makes a pass on Colin Edwards, going along the inside of turn 9. Can he make it stick? Yes, he does. Really nicely done. Colin Edwards fighting on the outside to keep pace. We got some really small gaps here. We're on with Major Castleman, who is on the tail of combined YouTuber D2 reserve driver, helping us out today. Currently in P14, replacing the absent Eric Carvalho. These gaps are tiny. Action going on here with the Haas. A localized yellow with Eric Perez.
Could be another safety car. Yep, that's the safety car once again. There's been a major incident between Marc-Olivier Bastien and Eric Perez right there.
He's going in for a front wing disaster for the Alpha Boys so far. Luckily, combined YouTuber in P13. This looks like a VS. Oh, is it a full safety car? It is. It's coming out.
It's a full safety car. Safety car's there. So the drivers who just dove into the pits at the very last second, they got themselves a bit of an advantage there. So we see Colin Edwards, who's sitting in P17. He dove into the pits really quickly, as it was just perfectly timed for him. He might be getting an advantage out of this restart.
Now, so I don't know. So okay, now you're at 16 laps left. There'll be a couple under safety car, right? You could be in range if you nurse it. You could be within range of finishing the race on medium tires. So I mean, what do you think about Judd? Do you think it's too early? Like, are Hudson, Aaron, and Eruption thinking about going in?
I think they are. I think they are. These guys, if they're all going on the same strategy, I mean, do you really have to worry if like if you're Hudson and the three drivers behind you are also all on the same kind of mediums as you? I mean, if we're gonna have a struggling race, everybody's gonna have a struggling race. So that's gonna be one to think about. But I think Hudson's gonna be the one that's gonna dictate the pace here. I think if he dives into the pits, all of his rivals are gonna do the same thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be follow the leader. Yeah. I want to hop on with Aaron Altmaier here so we can get a view of Hudson perhaps diving in and then everybody following suit.
Yeah, it looks like he's gonna go in.
Everybody's in.
Now, is he
Everybody's
going for
in. Let's
mediums
hop
or
in.
softs? That could be something that he could try to play with the other drivers there.
Yeah. And Alpine is out. That's Jason Pelter. He's staying. Oh, eruption with a collision with Aaron Altmaier. Maybe in the pits. Front wing? That's a 5-second penalty. That will be tough. Everybody coming in. Save phase for Jason Pelter, Joaquin Torres, and AJ Jackson. And that's actually great for them. Right? Well,
Yeah,
Jason's
Joaquin
probably
Torres and
gonna-
AJ Jackson's on 5-lap old hards, but it is going to take a while for those medium tires to drop off completely. I think it might be good for them in position-wise, but they're going to have to do a lot of defending there up until the end of the race.
Yeah, but they can stay. They can stay out.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about stretching or anything like that. I mean, I don't know. I think they're in a great position for recovery.
If they want to do 20 laps on those hard tires, it's going to be a challenge. Let me tell you that. It's going to be a big challenge compared to those medium tires. I think I'd rather be in a position with like Hudson Poole than guys like Joaquin Torres and AJ Jackson. However, they had to make that strategy call given their grid position before the pit strategies.
Agreed. So I wonder if we'll be bunched up enough to have the safety car in this lap. Crossing my fingers, but it doesn't look like it. There's a big gap with that Merc. Who is that? Is that Colin with the big gap? Yeah, behind Cal.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a gap there. Yeah.
Safety car is
Safety
in
car's
this
already
lap.
in. Wow. Oh boy,
right.
now that's only a 1-lap safety car from what I seen. So
One lap
interesting.
safety car. Yeah, we're on with Hudson right now. So it looks like Hudson is backing up like his portion of the field. So he's essentially giving position to the top 3, knowing that he'll have the strategy moving forward. No, he doesn't. Now he comes back up. That was an interesting little gamesmanship there by Hudson Poole, but he knows what he's doing. On the restart, the McLaren a little bit shaky. Joaquin Torres, he's AI. That's kind of bungling up the start for everybody else. Jason Pelter in the lead. Followed by
I don't know if he's
Joaquin
in his
Torres,
car yet.
AJ Jackson.
I saw him disconnect. Yeah, we're driving through them, so AJ Jackson's gonna go right through him.
A little bit of action there in the middle as Cam Bourne's lost a couple places, but Hudson Poole passes Joaquin Torres, and he is right on the butt of AJ Jackson. It'll be really tough to defend here with no DRS, no nothing on those compound tires. Yeah, Joaquin Torres dropping down the order. Combined YouTuber down the order. He lost a lot of positions there. Maklivi Bastians and both Alfa Romeos bringing up the rear. Hudson Poole coming on the inside of AJ Jackson. AJ keeps it nice and tidy. Now he's on the inside of turn 7. Can he successfully defend it? He can. There's a yellow in sector 2. I don't know what it is. Someone is tearing down the order. It might be Jeffrey Lawler. Or Eruption? Eruption.
It's Eruption.
It's Eruption. Marc-Olivier Bastien spun out in turn 7. Meanwhile, Hudson Poole loses a position to Jason Pelter on the 14-lap old hard tires. If I'm Hudson, though, I can bide my time here. Look, you have the strategy and the pace to make this work. Just stick close. Oh, he bumps Jason a little bit. Wow. A little bit of a nudge. I pick up the pace there. As I was just saying, he could be patient. He comes and gives him a nudge. Looks like Duncan McCamick and Jeffrey Lawler are fighting. Combined YouTuber with this first track limit penalty. He's got 3 seconds. He's down there in P19. Let's hop in with Hudson again. He's got the grip here where you need it most in Sector 1. These high-speed turns, 2, 3, and 4. He's going to make the move going into Turn 5. Late braking on the inside. He's got the apex, but he's slowed down a lot there. Hop back on with Jason. The position sticks. Hudson Poole in P2.
Yeah, that medium tire grip, and Jason Pelter is probably thinking should he pit now and try to make a comeback there, because his tires clearly are not keeping him up there, and he's losing positions rapidly. He's about to lose potentially another one to Aaron Altmaier, who's on the inside and went a little bit over the bump and lost a lot of speed there, so he's going to be saved by the bump.
Yeah, Cal making a move here on Luke Locklear. He's got P5 in his sights. He'll be on the outside of turn 8 coming in, and no, he defers to Thermo. going in, living to fight another day. Duncan McCamick in a huge fight now with Cam Bourne. We're on with Cam. Alpine driver, he's got a 3-second penalty, but he comes into Sector 3 holding P12, looking at the gearbox of 2 Ferraris, Eruption and Jeffrey Lawler.
So far, it's been really clean driving by these D1 drivers. They're following a whole train there. DRS is now being enabled, and Hudson Poole just got the fastest lap of the track of the race so far.
So here's something
now
interesting.
He's gonna have the ERS on AJ Jackson as well.
He is, yeah. Let's hop on with Hudson while we're discussing. After Jason's little, I don't know, it wasn't an incident, right? He was kind of squirrely coming out of a corner and fighting with Aaron Altmaier. There's now a 2-second gap between Jason Pelter and Hudson Poole, which bodes really well for Hudson's fight with Aaron and Luke later on in the race.
Yeah, Hudson's really content with that turn of events there. And he's going to play the patient game. I think AJ Jackson's he's got higher top speed though, despite Hudson having the DRS advantage on the Williams driver. Couldn't catch up to him, and AJ wasn't really using any battery as well. So the gap between Hudson and AJ is not really closing in as quick as we thought. Even with DRS, AJ is able to keep a really high pace despite that. So he's probably using a low downforce setup to have such a top speed.
He's got incredible pace going right now. There are battles going on all over the grid. Everybody is bunched up on each other in Sector 3. Really tight gaps here. Let's hop on with Maxime here as he turns 16. Going into another fight in Sector 1. AJ Jackson and Hudson Poole starting to pull away. That tire strategy will be very interesting come the end. There's a 2.3 second gap now between Hudson and Aaron Altmaier. And man, these gaps are tight as Chase Wilson pulls in a black and white flag.
Ooh, Hudson thought about making a move down in turn 5. Got in on the inside of AJ Jackson, who went a little bit too deep on that corner. And that didn't work out for him. And there he is again with the DRS and not really gaining that much throughout the entire straight line between turns 5 and 6. He didn't even gain a 10th on AJ Jackson, or barely, until the breaking point.
Jason Pelter has drained his battery trying to defend for his life. He's currently in P7. He just lost P6 to the Mercedes of Colin Edwards. Colin makes that pass, and they were slowing him down, but luckily he could still be within DRS range of Cal, so not too much time lost there. Still in a position to maybe fight for P5. Hop in with Maxime now, who was in a fight with Freddie Rizal. He loses that position to Freddie Rizal as they go into Sector 3. Again, more action in turn 8. That hairpin's been incredible, but his teammate Major Castleman has just spun there and is having trouble getting the car around.
Yeah, the exit of turn 9 is known for that, right? It's the kind of corner where you feel you could really push it towards the end, but pushing it too much, you can instantly lose the rears, and not an easy corner to handle.
Yeah, Jason Pelter is now coming into pit. He's had enough. He'll do 10 laps on presumably medium compound tires. I don't know, softs 10 laps here might be a little tough.
Yeah. He's going to be able to do 10 very comfortable laps on the mediums. He's going to have a lot of pace.
There's another yellow at Sector 3. Looks like it could be localized due to the pit. And Major Castleman has retired from the race.
Yeah, he's gone into the pits and he decided to retire completely. So he's left the session. I believe his AI is going to come out and park it.
Yeah, tough strategy call now for Jason Pelter. Now he'll be on those fresh tires, but he'll come to the back of the pack, and that's kind of a significant
There's a move going down in turn 9. Hudson on AJ here. And he's got on the inside of AJ Jackson.
Appreciate the heads up there. I was able to switch there just in time to AJ Jackson's view to see Hudson Poole take that position. So AJ is not in a bad spot right now. He's got a 3-second gap to Luke Locklear, who stole it from Aaron Altmaier. If they can keep that pace going for another 5 laps, there may be a point where his tires are better than the mediums. It's a game of endurance for AJ Jackson right now. A lot of small gaps here at many positions here. Freddie Rizal in P8, Maxime Beaulieu P9, Eruption right on the gearbox of Maxime Beaulieu in P9. Well, right along with them as they get into Sector 1. razor thin margins here on the gaps throughout the entire field.
Yeah, as we were saying, AJ Jackson with his tire strategy currently, he's should be falling off unless he could be really carried by that DRS on Hudson Pool, and he had really high top speed, so he might, he might take advantage of that. But guys like Luke Locklear and Aaron Altmaier are the bottom five, I would say, from Luke Locklear all the way down to maybe Jeffrey Lawler, got 9 laps, and potentially thinking maybe AJ Jackson's tires drops off, and maybe that'll be in an extra position for these guys.
Chase Wilson losing a position to Cam Bourne about an incident. He was at the back of the pack not too long ago, and they are fighting. Cam Bourne will fall back into P12, and let's take a look at Jeffrey Lawler, who just took P6 from Colin Edwards. Can we talk about this for a moment? Ferrari, that was probably his worst qualifying, and it's got to be a season and a half.
Yeah.
He started P12, he falls back to the end, and now he's fighting in P6 on the lead train.
Yeah, well, how many times have we said it in our broadcast so far, Buffalo, right? You get in a bad situation, you spin out, you have contact, you end up in the back of the pack, and then a safety car happens. And now you're back in the pack and you're fighting it off. So things like that can always happen. So, for our viewers or our fellow drivers out there, whatever the division they're in, don't end your race because you're having a bad night.
Always. Yeah. And also, for those of you that don't know, in ZRL, the point scoring is different than Formula 1. Right? So we actually award points for every driver that classifies in the race, from 35 all the way down to 1. So if you finish a race, you're scoring points for your team. AJ Jackson's been keeping incredible pace. That gap to Luke Locklear is now increased to 3.1 seconds, and I think it's because of the DRS. There's going to be a crossover point here where Luke is not going to be able to make up enough ground to AJ Jackson. And AJ's doing a great job of keeping up with Hudson Pool on the poorer tire that is not only older, right? And as Hudson Pool looked a little squirrely there coming out of the exit turn 9, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think we're going to see those kind of situations with Hudson a little bit. AJ Jackson, it's a curious situation. Like you mentioned, he's got the hard tires on. He's got 12-lap-old tires compared to 7-lap-old mediums, and he's really glued to the back of Hudson Pool like it was much easier than it looks.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye on for a Williams driver, especially as well. He wasn't one of the top picks.
Oh, as a Merc goes out, Colin Edwards comes out turn 16 to hit the wall, destroys his front wing.
Oh, that's a
and
terrible place
to tumbling
do
down
that.
the order. We switch into broadcast view, taking a look at the Haas of Freddie Rizal, and we see a Merc fly across the screen and into the wall. Colin was looking at a really nice finish there, and that'll be tough.
There's another spin also. I think it's Jace Wilson in the AlphaTauri who spun out in turn 3.
Yeah, I see it now. On the broadcast view, here comes slot in behind the McLaren of Carl Behrens. Let's hop in with Colin Edwards right now to see if he has wing damage. Kind of hard to see from that. See, from there, it doesn't look like it, right? Maybe a little bit on that end plate on the front left. No, it looks clean.
It looks clean. He looks in racing form still. We'll see if he decides to dive into the pits.
Meanwhile,
softs at this point.
Aaron Altmaier making a move into Luke Locklear at turn 8, who just got a devastating 3-second penalty the lap prior. Aaron Altmaier now taking P3 away from Luke Locklear, and he'll get that podium position provisionally.
There's a Ferrari around
right
as
now.
well.
Oh, it's Eruption.
Oh, Eruption. We were talking about him not so long ago. He was having such a great race. He wasn't put in positions. Now he's driving around with no front wing, a 5-second penalty. Oh,
we need to just stop talking. That's what we need to do.
We need to be happy for those guys.
We were happy for him. I'm happy for Cal. He just saved his car. Coming out of turn 16, he gets a little squirrely and has to correct and then overcorrect. But he keeps it on track, and wouldn't you know it, last week's race winner, Jeffrey Lawler, now in P5. Technically P4 after a penalty to Luke Locklear for track limits. And that'll be devastating for him because that essentially puts him down to P8 as it stands now. He's got 24% battery remaining. Hop on with Luke Locklear, whose light was flashing. But Luke had DRS on Aaron Altmaier.
Also keeping an eye on AJ Jackson. He looked at the inside of Hudson Pool, and he's putting himself up in a position to maybe make an overtake coming down to turn 9 here. He's got the top end speed on him.
Let's see where they come. He's going to come around the outside. He's going to try a switchback. No, Hudson Poole takes that line really nicely, and AJ didn't have a shot there.
Yeah, he did a great job to cut him off from that.
Really close
gap
battles
here. Everywhere.
There is battles everywhere. I'm trying to hop in between them, right? Jeffrey Lawler on the gearbox of Luke Locklear will have a little bit of a reprieve typically in Sector 3, not as much passing. So let's go on to the rest of the field. Eric Perez coming into Sector 3 himself. He's pushing to get that last top 10 place, right? He'll be fighting with Duncan McCamick. Good to see him up there. The Williams look incredible in D1.
Yeah, you were saying earlier how Luke Locklear and other drivers as well, you know, those 3-second track limit penalties really hurt the drivers, especially in Division 1. You know, we saw it in qualifying, we're seeing in racing. The cars are much more bunched up than we've seen other divisions. So a 3-second gap really hurts the driver.
Yeah, no, it really does. It really hurts, right? You don't have that DRS. This could be a pretty DRS consistent track, right? Chase Wilson, Marc-Louis Bastien coming in two soft compound tires. They're pitting now what will presumably be softs, right? Joaquin Torres now P15, essentially the back of the pack there. Combined YouTuber with a really nice performance so far. He's in P12, right? We're going to have a battle here. Coming across the second DRS zone, Jeffrey Lawler in range of Luke Locklear, who's in range of Aaron Altmaier, trying to defend the last podium position. There's a 4.7 second gap between him and the P2 up AJ Jackson. AJ's done a really incredible job. We're on with Jeffrey coming along the inside. Whoa. He keeps it really tight. There was barely a gap there, and he comes on the outside of turn 9. Can he make it stick?
I'm really shocked how there was no
Luke on the inside.
There. A little bit of a bump there.
Oh, a little bit of trade and paint there. Luke will ultimately concede a position to Jeffrey Lawler, but that battle is not over.
Jeffrey Lawler just pushed his elbows out and took that position from Luke Locklear. That was there, relatively clean. That was racing.
The gap was there.
Wow.
That was incredible. We're on with Luke now as he's going to come into Sector 1 and see if he's got the grip to maintain. AJ Jackson coming up to Turn 5 right now, and no. I don't think he's going to be able to make a move there, but let's hop in with Cal now, who's also trying to make a move on Luke Locklear. He thought about it on the inside of Turn 5, but that's not going to happen. Cal's in a pretty good battery position here. He can see Luke Locklear's ERS light flashing as he starts to farm some energy.
With just about 4 laps left, Aaron Altmaier has got a good chunk of ERS left, and he's really using to defend himself. And I think what also helps is he's got higher top end speed from Jeffrey Lawler and Luke Locklear behind him, so he's gonna really hang on for that podium position as much as possible. Jeffrey Lawler is out on a mission.
Luke is out of ERS, defending from his life for P5 as Cal thought about the similar move that Jeffrey Lawler did on the inside of turn 8. And he doesn't get it. Now he's thinking about the inside of turn 9 for a second. And Thermo spins out. Luke Locklear spins out and lost it a little bit going into Sector 3. That's going to be a localized yellow. Cal inherits P5. Freddie inherits P6. And Maxine P7 so far. Dude, Abu Dhabi, man. This is unforgiving.
Absolutely not. Luke Locklear tried to cover the inside of turn 12. He saw Cal on his right and his right view mirror, and he tried to cover it, moving a little bit too much on the inside to cover the move. That destabilized his car. We saw his rear going to the left while he was trying to steer right, and that's where he lost it. He did a good job, though. We're getting back on track, and he's going to try to get back with the bunch in front of him.
It doesn't look like he has damage either. He slots into P8. 2-second gap behind him to Camborne. 2.7 second gap ahead of him to Maxime. He'll have to get some pace here if he's going to catch up to Maxime, but I think what he could be looking for today is Chase Wilson puts in the fastest lap, 125.4. He may be trying to just get the 3-second gap to Cam and solidify P8. Marc-Louis Bastien takes fastest lap there. He's in P19, but hey, we'll take the purple point. AJ Jackson maybe looking to make a move in turn 8. He almost did. That gap was really small for a second. He is starting to sniff it. I wonder how Hudson Tires are going to be. Their battery situation is essentially the same.
Yeah.
These gaps are getting tiny.
Yeah, 17 laps. AJ should expect his tires to really be dropping off there. Similar situation for Hudson Poole at 12-lap-old mediums. So far, it's really surprising, borderline confusing, shall I say suspicious, that both of these drivers, like AJ's been really on the back of Hudson Pool this entire time without having the tire advantage whatsoever.
Yeah, it's tough. He's been able to keep incredible pace. You know, this could just be his track. He's done it really well. He's used DRS to his advantage, and that gap just keeps getting skinnier and skinnier, and he keeps trying to sniff it at turn 8. And I don't know. He'll have DRS here. And we'll see as Hudson gets a little squirrely. That's going to harm his exit speed. DRS open now for AJ Jackson. Is he going to make the move? Is there enough space to make the move into turn 6?
Does he have the tire grip for a little dive over here? He's thinking about it, but he's going to play it safe.
I think that was the right call as we get the nose cam at just the right time and see his front wing come to the right rear of Hudson Pool. DRS in there.
It's tricky there as well. You don't want to get in the chicane and start a battle there. The drivers behind you will gain a lot of time doing so. And if you come out of that chicane on top of in front of Hudson Pool, well, he's got the DRS behind you. So there's no point in burning your ERS to get in front of a driver to give him DRS on that second straight.
Exactly. Hop in with Eric Perez now, was trying to make a move on Duncan McCamick, and he defends. He's going on the inside of turn 9. Keeps it really nice and tidy on the outside. Does he have the pace? Duncan's got the better line on the inside. There's contact.
Ooh.
There's contact, and Eric Perez got bumped off a little bit. Duncan McCamick just trying to shut the door. Good hard racing there. Really tough fight for P10.
Yeah, and Duncan McCamick, we know he's probably one of those toughest drivers out there on the track. He's going to leave you little to no space. When they say leave a gap, leave a car's width as a gap, he's going to leave you a car's width as a gap and nothing more.
Yeah, there's a McLaren around. That looks like Joaquin Torres, and his tough night gets a little bit tougher as he tries to bring it home on 18-lap old hards. He's got 2 soft tire runners behind him. Let's have him with AJ Jackson now again. That gap around 4/10 is extended a little bit. Still the closest battle on the grid, safe for Jason Pelter, potentially making a move on them to turn 5. As I believe I just crashed. Are you there, John?
Yep. Did your game crash?
I believe my game just crashed. So we're losing the feed here. I'll need you to do it like a radio host here if you can, John.
Most definitely while you get back into the
I get everything
into the action there. That could happen sometimes. AJ Jackson had a short run out of Hudson Pool. We're on lap 28 now, so we're going to go into our final lap of the race in just a second here. Aaron Altmaier's battling for his life. As mentioned earlier, he's using that ERS to defend himself from Jeffrey Lawler, who's trying to give it all the beans. And Jeffrey Lawler actually was able to harvest some ERS and to give himself a similar level to the Aston Martin. So last lap, expect maybe a move to be attempted there. Followed closely in P5. Oh, Jeffrey Lawler! I'm not even broadcasting and I cursed him. He spins out and turned 15.
Oh, no.
And that is him tumbling down to P7. So that puts Kyle Blevins in the AlphaTauri in a potential podium attacking position. Freddie Rozelle, a Haas driver, once again impressing for Haas. He's sitting in P5 currently. A very mature drive by this driver so far. AJ Jackson coming into turn 6. There's a little bit of weaving from Hudson, and he's giving it all. He's got the ERS going, and he's going to try on the outside of the chicane. He's going to make a move on Hudson Pool. Pool defends it. A bit of a switchback from AJ Jackson, doesn't get the move down on the chicane, but he's going to have once again the straight and the DRS and ERS combination. He's got a lot more top speed than Hudson Pool. Coming into turn 9. Rozelle so close to him and he sits in P5. Maxim Bolliard P6. Jeffrey Lawler, unfortunate sprint for him in P7. Locklear P8. Cam Bourne in P9. And we're seeing some of the drivers with penalties being dropped down a little bit here. Duncan McCamick is going to finish the race at a respectable P10, having started from the back of the pack. Jason Pelter P11, Kyle Behrens under McLaren in P12. Combined YouTuber reserve driver P13. Very respectable race for him. kept himself out of incidents most of the race. Chase Wilson P14, Colin Wilson in the Mercedes also reserving in P15. Had a bit of a roller coaster race on his end. Eruption sitting in P16.
Outstanding commentary there, John. I'm sorry I'm leaving you hanging. I'm unable to join the lobby, so a little bit of radio experience for you there, man. I appreciate you guys giving us the heads up. That was great.
All right, so the good news is that we're in at the interview, so luckily we didn't miss too much. Unfortunately, we missed the pinnacle of the action with AJ Jackson and Hudson Poole, but quite a race with AJ Jackson. Had incredible top end speed, and that's what gave him the win against Hudson Poole.
Quite a race. Some unfortunate technical difficulties, folks. I appreciate you sticking with me, sticking with John Ranger with the outstanding commentary here. We'll go to the intermission screen as we start to queue up results and interviews for D1.
All right, AJ, Hudson, and Aaron. I'm gonna.
So, John, we'll make sure we get the race reviews from your race replays from your end too, so we can solidify standings. Tough.
Let me do this quick. There you go. So just to finish off the end over there with Eruption, it was Marc-Olivier Bastien. Really unfortunate race for him in P17. Dragon Torres in P18, Eric Perez P19, and Major Castman with a DNF being in P20. So one Haas driver being in the top 5, and the other Haas driver has DNF. So a bit of a mixed review there for D1.
Yeah, and they had the pace, right? They had the pace to really compete at the top. Just kind of unfortunate for Major Castleman. I mean, just like you were saying before, I'm always the type of guy that will try to finish no matter where I'm at. But, we don't know what was going on there in the Haas garage. But Freddie was some good points for the team.
All right, in the waiting room, if you want, I'll bring you in. Aaron Altmaier right away so we can start him with the interviews here.
Yeah, let's get going. I'm certainly not streaming the game anymore. Thank you, Cody's.
Here we go. Our P3 finisher, podium finish for the Aston Martin driver, Aaron Altmaier. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
And really nice job, man. I mean, you had P2 for a long time, right, throughout the race. You kind of had a front row seat to the battle going on between AJ and Hudson Poole. I mean, are you kind of surprised at the pace of the hard tires that AJ had at the end? And was there a time where you thought you'd get P1 or P2?
No, that safety car kind of worked out for him perfectly. So, I mean, he just had the right strategy. I knew his tires were going to be fine to the end. So, and I knew Hudson went on to the mediums. Me and Hudson both went on to the mediums early.
Right.
So, like, our tires were going to be dead there at the end. So, I'm actually not surprised that AJ had the better tires there on the last lap.
Aaron Altmaier, I got to go for the setup question there. Because you had, for a good chunk of the race, especially after the safety car, you had Jeffrey Lawler behind you, at a certain point, Luke Locklear as well. What allowed you to keep that gap between drivers who were trying to attack you at some point and hold on that P3 position? Is it the top end speed?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we were running higher wings on D3, D2, and D4. But we just made like a last minute decision just to bump them down. So like we had that extra straight line speed. I was just keep managing my gap really good with Luke behind me. But whenever Dago got up there, I was like, okay, he's definitely gonna pass me at some point. But Dago must have been running like a crazy high downforce because he just could not get me on the straight. So I mean, like I knew from there I had that ERS advantage. So I just kind of managed that gap, and I knew I was gonna be fine to the end.
How's this track for you, Aaron? I mean, a lot of mixed feelings kind of throughout the league of Abu Dhabi. I think the new layout is great. How do you like this one, and how do you feel about Portimao in 2 weeks?
I don't even know. I don't even like this track. Like, it's not even. I don't know. Like, I probably put like 10 hours of practice into this weekend.
Yeah.
Just trying to like get everyone else ready on the Aston Martin team. So I mean, like that practice definitely paid off. But I don't. Portimao's not one of my worst tracks, but it's not one of my best. But I mean, I think that Aston Martin's gonna continue to do what we're doing, we're gonna have a really good finish pretty much every weekend.
You guys look great as a team. I think up and down all the divisions, man. So good luck in a couple weeks, and happy holidays to you as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, John, should we bring in
We are
P2
gonna bring
Hudson?
in P2 Hudson Pool, our P2 finisher, Hudson Pool in the Red Bull. Congratulations on your P2 finish, Hudson.
Thank you. Just a heads up, I got a hockey game I gotta go to soon, so I gotta kind of be quick.
All right, we'll keep it quick here. One question for you,
Buffalo,
Hudson.
go.
Yeah, dude, you saw him on the hard tires through that last stint. Was there any shot you thought he had to really have come back and winning? And when you were trying to extend that gap, what was going to go through your mind? Because he was keeping pace.
I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Yeah, he really showed he had an insane pace today. Obviously he was way faster than me.
Yeah, he looked
He was
good,
on
man.
those
But
hard tires.
you looked good as well. Before we let you go, how do you feel about Portugal in 2 weeks?
Worst circuit on the calendar.
I'm hearing a lot of that. I'm hearing a lot of that in the paddock. But we got 2 weeks to toil through the practice, man. Good luck at your hockey tonight. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Hudson.
That was a
All
world
right,
record.
time to bring our quickest interview ever. Well, hey, I understand a man that's got to go to hockey. Definitely.
Yeah, gotta do it.
All right, bringing in AJ Jackson, our race winner in P1 at the Asperina circuit. Welcome to the broadcast, AJ.
Thanks, man.
AJ, dude, you showed, first of all, in the first 2 races, you have showed incredible pace. But looking at that tire strategy at the end, I gotta be honest, I didn't think you had a shot. But you kept such consistent pace on the hard tires. How are you doing that? How are you doing your best to keep up with Hudson?
Honestly, I literally just tried to go easy on the tires. Once I knew Hudson was on soft, not soft, fresh mediums, I just decided that I wasn't going to fight him as much. And that was it. The whole key was just not fighting him. Go easy on the tires, do certain corners. If I had to go to a higher gear, I was going to do a higher gear. I honestly didn't think I'd keep so close with him with like a few laps to go. I thought he was gonna build a gap. I just wanted to build a gap to the guys behind, and that's all I was kind of focused on.
Yeah.
AJ, you had a little bit of an incident. We got pinched a little bit by Hudson Pool in turn 1 right at the beginning of the race. You dropped down the grid. The safety cars happened, and you came all the way back up, and now you've eventually won the race. Walk us through the emotions of this race tonight. How did that go?
So I went down his inside, but that wasn't actually me. That was that was the AI. What had happened was my game crashed during quali. I had there's 2 minutes left in quali. My game crashed. It decided it didn't want me to go for another run. But then I wasn't able to join the lobby for a while. Wasn't able to join the lobby until lap 2, really. Even though it said I was in, I wasn't really in. I couldn't take control of the car.
Right.
Then there was the incident with Major Castleman. I felt like he made a late move to try to defend the left side. We crashed, and I had no idea I didn't get any damage. I think I had damage, but I didn't. It was a good pit. I pitted for hards to stay on the hards until the end of the race, and yeah, it actually wasn't even my call. It was my engineers. So yeah.
Nice, dude. The Williams team, you guys both look fantastic so far, I think, with the pace. Eric Perez, I believe, finished a really nice P11. So you guys look great in D1. How are you guys kind of preparing for a couple weeks? Do you guys like Portugal as a track? How y'all think you're gonna do?
To be honest, Portugal was like my favorite track back in 2021, but this year I'm having kind of some issues with it. I'll be practicing nonstop, but no, I think we'll come back strong. Especially Eric, he's fast. He has determination. I think he'll continue to improve, and I'll be there to help him out. I mean, we had a top 5 finish every race so far for me. And yeah, I definitely felt like I was slept on during the draft, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I ended up being with a team that wants me and knows what I truly have, and hopefully I can stick with Williams for quite some time.
Dude, I love it, man, and I love the fact that you're carrying the team and that whole mentality like through the whole thing. So, AJ, man, congrats! Welcome to ZRL Winner Circle. It's
Thanks.
great to have you. And hey, man, hopefully we're talking to you in 2 weeks.
Of course.
All right, take care, man. So, thank you all for sticking with us during the technical difficulties. The worst time I think for the game to crash, but dude, throughout the whole race, man, again, D1, full of good racing. And dude, this track really lended itself well to some great battles. Great battles
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, great battles. Not just up front. We had a lot of battles up front, but throughout the entirety of the pack. And every time we saw the pack kind of get it spread thin a little bit, a safety car happened and brought everyone right back together, and even more battles. So I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure your throat might be a little bit sore. There's so much action going on the entirety of the race, and
Yeah.
I mean the
Oh,
beauty of D1, right?
it's the beauty of D1. And I was trying to like let you get a word in, John, right? But there was just so much I kept having to go back and forth to follow on the action. But dude, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed watching the race today at Abu Dhabi. I'm actually looking forward to Portugal. I think it's another track that lends itself well to some action. I guess the quicker drivers not really fans of the track. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I think Portugal, luckily it's in 2 weeks, right? So a quick reminder to our viewers that it is not next Sunday, but in 2 weeks. Next weekend is an off weekend for ZRL.
Right.
So I mean, Portimao is a very roller coaster kind of track, and these cars tend to not react very well to those corners where there's a little bit of a change in height. So, and I think Gasparino kind of showed us that we've seen main drivers spinning off in some key positions on the circuit, and Portimao is going to give us more of that, more battles, more spinning, more safety car throughout the divisions. I mean, what's not to like? Maybe the drivers don't like it. I'm sure the viewers are going to enjoy the races.
I think we'll enjoy calling it as well. Thanks everybody for joining us today. John, like you said, man, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanksgiving here for all our American members and viewers. So y'all have a great holiday, and we'll see you in 2.
Night, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving.